while it's tempting to think that if you get stronger and faster, you will be able to leverage your jiu-jitsu better, technically, at least in my opinion, your joints end up being your first line of offense, your first line of defense, and then also your last line of survival. So even me just kind of setting up the shot, I'm in this kind of like quasi-hand belly space, and I've got full knee bend. And so in this offensive position, just hanging out here, like I have to have full knee bend. If my knee isn't capable of bending and sitting here for a while, what chance do I have to like truly manipulate this position? So kind of starting from the beginning though, your match, if you're in a competition, is gonna start with some sort of stand-up. If you're just, at the academy, just doing your regular training rounds, we might start seated, but ultimately, cutting to the chase, my goal is to get my opponent somewhere in this neighborhood, either by way of a takedown and then I'm working through his guard, or maybe I do a throw and I'm immediately in side control, but whatever it is, I'm gonna end up down here. So my first line of offense is, well, can I tolerate getting down there and then moving through all the different positions that I might need without worrying about whether my knee is gonna tolerate that, okay? So offense is inextricably tied to your ability to probably mostly utilize your knees and then by extension low back. When we start to talk about first line of defense, well, usually what we're talking about is something like frames. And so I'm on the other side of this equation. I get taken down, I'm in half guard, I've reposed my guard to some degree, and I'm now framing up. Well, my wrist, my elbow, my shoulder become my first line of defense. And if you have a great command of just being able to frame up, well, that's incredibly frustrating. If you are, ooh, man, that kind of hurts, ooh, my elbow, my shoulder, my knee, my back, if I'm constantly trying to find a comfortable position because this weight and this opponent is coming down on me, well, I'm focusing on the wrong thing as opposed to reopposing my guard correctly, getting back to an offensive position. Then we talk about last line of defense. Let's say, just for the sake of argument, because this is a place I've been and also gotten people, and it's very interesting to see how people's shoulders work. Let's say I get into a head and arm triangle situation. I'm here, they've crossed on over. Sometimes people will tap before they even lock it up just because their shoulder doesn't go to here. Or they squeeze it tight and you get out and you go, oh, dude, my shoulder's kind of tweaked. So my last line of defense before I tap is essentially not letting it get too far. And I tap and I'm like, ooh, dude, I kind of tweaked, tore something like that. So the idea here is that in none of those circumstances will good musculature, speed, explosiveness do you any good if you are constantly working around, hedging against, or babying some joint area that just isn't cooperating. The second you can frame, you can bend your knee, you can get into here, and you're not worried about those outcomes on your joints, for me, that has allowed more expression of my jiu-jitsu and more ability to play around with different positions, have fun, succeed, get better, and just enjoy the process.